versus Alan Shupe, Infect, and Sneak and Show. Now, we saw something similar to this before with Tom Ross against Jesse Hefner. So let's see if Todd has that case Caracas in his opener. But Alan is on a mulligan to 6. So.
And Todd and Tom Ross work together on this deck. Or I should say that Tom Ross has been teaching Todd Stevens how to play this Infect deck. So right now, if you're a Tom Ross fan, you should be rooting for Todd Stevens right now too. He's holding the boss banner.
Todd should go see if Tom will let him wear his leather jacket.
Yeah. I bestow my power upon thee.
Leather jacket with the shirt and tie.
Yep.
He is the best dressed man on the Open Series.
Oh, yeah.
Todd's going to start off with a Verdant Catacombs 19, going to go find a Tropical Island, cast a Noble Hierarch, pass it back to Alan. Alan has a Scalding Tarn, just going to pass it back to Tom. We're going to play a little slow.
And one of the classic ways to get ahead, especially in the early game, is just having access to more mana. We see that Todd Stevens is playing these Noble Hierarchs to have access to more mana. Alan Shupe has access to cards like City of Traders, Lotus Petal, Ancient Tomb. Having more mana than your opponent is one of the best ways to get ahead.
Well, Todd Stevens is going to play another Noble Hierarch Crash in for 2, and he has that Case Caracas in his hand already. Yep. So maybe it's fortunate that Alan has slowed down a little bit and didn't go all in on turn 1, because Tom would have got him with the Caracas.
Yep.
Or Todd would have got him with the Caracas.
That said, most Sneak and Show lists would have a very hard time winning from this position. They would have to get a fair amount of mana and a sneak attack into play. But Alan Shupe, because he has access to Omniscience in his deck, can play a little bit of a different game and will have a much easier time overpowering this Caracas. It'll still be difficult, but because of his deck construction, he's put himself in a good position to do it as compared to some other Sneak and Show players.
Yep. So Alan's going to fall to 17. He's going to shuffle with a Scalding Tarn after he resolved his Ponder. See if he's just going to play another cantrip.
And Todd has been able to build up a good amount of mana and have some disruption in the form of that Caracas, but Todd still hasn't mounted any pressure that Alan really needs to worry about. No Infect creatures have hit the board so far, so while Alan's worried, he probably isn't, sweating the next couple draw steps.
So it looked like Alan had a Show and Tell in his hand, and this Brainstorm was just Boseiju, Omniscience, Emrakul.
Oh, that sounds good.
That sounds like a very good Brainstorm to me.
Yeah, I think I can see a line of play there.
Yeah, you don't say. Well, there's the Boseiju from Alan. It's going to pass it back to Todd. Let's see what Todd can get going here on his turn.
And whenever you see your opponent play Boseiju, that's usually a good time to think, okay, what's the worst thing that can happen next turn? Because that's probably what's going to happen.
Here comes a Ponder from Todd Stevens.
This is where Todd needs to say, okay, I need to dig for something
crop
really good.
Rotation for a Wasteland.
Yeah. A crop rotation for a Wasteland wouldn't be a bad idea. He could even kill his own Tropical Island because he still has those Noble Hierarchs as sources of blue and green mana.
See what Todd decides to do with this Ponder. Boseiju Go has to be one of the scariest things that you can have happen from a
You and I have done it many times, and we can speak from experience saying that the Boseiju only comes down when we know we're going to do something with it.
I have, however, used it to cast a lot of dig-through times.
Yeah.
I'm only going to delve 6 this time. We got an extra colorless. Here comes another Noble Hierarch for Todd. He did keep that Ponder on top. He's going to crash in for 3 with his Noble Hierarch. Going to bring Alan down to 14. Let's see if it's going to matter much. Alan's going to untap, draw for his turn. Going to play a Lotus Petal. Stormcount equals 1.
Yep.
He's going to get a basic island. All right, he's going to lose 2 life, go to 12.
And this Boseiju will make the Show and Tell uncounterable.
He's going to cast Show and Tell.
Todd Stevens looking at a hand of Force of Wills. He's going to read Boseiju and realize that there's nothing he can really do about this.
All right, Alan's going to put an Omniscience onto the battlefield. Todd is not going to put anything.
And now, Omniscience into Emrakul is so good because you, as opposed to putting.
Oh, looks like it was a Gristlebrand.
Oh,
not
it's a
an
Gristlebrand.
Emrakul.
Okay, excuse me.
Right, so he's going to cast a Gristlebrand with his Omniscience.
Oh, I hate it when I can't see the cards in their hand. It makes me look like a fool.
All right, so we've got a Force of Will from Todd going to 17.
So Todd will have some meaningful interaction for this situation.
Oh. And Alan is going to pass again with an Omniscience on the battlefield.
But nothing else, unfortunately.
Todd will Brainstorm. There's the crop rotation, of course.
Just in time.
He does have a bunch of Invigorates in his hand, though, so if he gets into a spot where he can crop rotate for an Inkmoth Nexus, he might just be able to win next turn.
Yeah. That may be what he's trying to map out here. There's also the, I mean, also can't be understated that Alan's at 12.
Yeah.
Todd can just attack for 3, and Todd already has a 3-turn clock without deploying any more threats to the board.
Yeah, just attack for 3. We'll bring Alan down to 9. He's just going to pass the turn back with Omniscience on the battlefield.
Alan really needs to draw a card like Dig Through Time. That would help in this situation. And this might be that crop rotation for an Inkmoth Nexus that you were talking about.
Todd's going to crop rotate. Well, he does have to make sure that he has a forest to be able to play those Invigorates for free.
Yep.
If he's planning on winning this turn, it might have been correct to get rid of the Caracas. Since at this point a monster is just going to kill you regardless if you bounce it or not.
I think he also has a Vines of the Vastwood, and the 3 Exalted triggers, being the Inkmoth Nexus would be an 8/8 without too much added.
All right, a Probe.
And he does hit a land drop, so that means those Invigorates are going to be turned on. Todd Stevens likely is going to see that the coast is clear.
He's going to activate his
And go
Inkmoth
for the kill.
Nexus. He's going to use a Wooded Foot or a Windswept Heath to fall down to 15. 2 Invigorates.
And a bunch of Exalted triggers. That's going to be 12 Infect. And it would have been interesting this game if Alan had decided to put the Grizzlebrand in rather than Omniscience. Granted, he would have been doing it in the face of the Caracas, but again, he would have been able to get a chance to draw 7 cards and probably do something even bigger and more powerful the following turn. By doing it the way he did, the whole point of Boseiju is to make it so that you're impervious to counterspells. But because he put the Omniscience into play off the show and tell and then cast the Grizzlebrand for free, that opened up Todd Stevens to be able to interact with those counterspells that had been, rendered temporarily useless in his hand. So, I'm not 100% sure what I would have done if I was sitting on the table, but it's certainly a play that's worth considering.
Another interesting idea is, I'm not sure what he drew that turn, so whether or not the last card in his hand after the Grizzlebrand was the show and